Welcome to Boys in the Hood TV. Today we tapping into South Los Angeles, and we talking about the Hoovers versus everybody. Considered by many the most hated gang in the city of LA. Hoover criminals, aka the Hoovers, trace back to the 70s. They operated around Hoover Street, founded on the west side of South Los Angeles, between Fig and Vermont Avenue. The Hoover Crips started in 1972 by Joe Stanley, aka Hoover Joe, with 7-4 Hoovers.
Hoover came out in 1972. Everybody, you got Hoovers don't even know what year Hoover came out, but it came out in 1972. When I was going to Bethune, I was already going to Bethune with Hoovers. When they turned Hoovers, they was my dogs. But when I left the east side, I switched over to Hoover Crips the first week they came out.
7-4 wouldn't be the only set of Hoovers. Other sets included 9 Deuce Hoover, which was started by OG Melvin Bloodstone Calloway. Next, the 107s was started by OG Big Moo Moo. Then the 112s was started by Ricky Bigfoots Fields. You also had the 9-4s, which was started by Big Eminem. Also, the 4 Trays was started by Judah Bean, and 5 Deuce was started by Boo Capone. Then you had 5-9 started by Big Sims, and the 8 Trays was started by Big Bam. All hell would break loose in the early 70s when some Denver lanes showed up, circling around OG Cartoon of 9 Deuce home. According to OG Cartoon, he was not exactly sure what they wanted, but that unannounced visit to the set sparked a match.
When the Denver lanes came at my house one day, surrounded mine, I don't know if they came to check me out or whatever, but that's when they crossed the line. So that's when I got out the house and went and told Hoovers. And we've been rolling ever since.
The Hoovers would be caught up in another war by 75, when Moo Moo from 9 Deuce wanted to expand into Denver Lane territory, set up a new set, the 107 Hoovers, which didn't sit well with the underground Crips, who the Hoovers were cool with at the time.
I think Moo started the 107 Hoovers in 75. And like, cuz, let me see that spray paint can. I'm like, I'm thinking he finna write 9 Deuce Hoover and get him spray paint can. He like, nigga, 107 Hoover, nigga. He like, damn, nigga, that'd be hard, cuz. Moo just start recruiting. And then the original UGs, shit, you ain't start no 107 Hoovers right here. This is an underground hood. Moo like, cuz I can start whatever shit I want to start, cuz, you know what I mean? We all Crips. Moo. And like, nigga, Hoover is way over there. How you gonna start some Hoover's over here and Hoover way over there? They argued about it. I first ever seen in my life, homie, the Crips shoot at another Crip.
But in 1979, the Hoovers would suffer major losses. Melvin Bloodstone Calloway of the 9 Deuce Hoovers was shot and killed at the age of 24. Then that same year, Moo Moo, of now the founder of 107 Hoover, younger brother Andre Jones, was killed. It was believed to be someone from 90 Hoover, but it was false.
Andre Jones was the first funeral in 1979, first gangbanger to get killed in South Central. And he was killed by the 90 Hoovers. Or so we thought, but it was one of the 90 Hoovers' cousins from Venice Shoreline that actually killed him. So, but the Hoovers X'd him out. Y'all no longer Hoovers. And so it was a green light on them. So that night after the wake, we went first. We had stolen the jig. We went over there, being the homies, and we put it down. That was the first funeral of 1979. And Andre Jones was Moo Moo from 107's little brother. So, I mean, that's a serious ass. Wow. And then,
in 1979, the Hoovers would be accused of the unthinkable. OG Raymond Washington, founder of the East Coast Crips, was gunned down. The Hoovers denied having anything to do with Washington's death. It's alleged that someone from within the East Coast was the trigger man.
Talking about Raymond, they blame the Hoovers for that.
Yeah, Hoovers didn't do that.
Hoovers didn't do it.
On October 12, 1984, Keith Tyrone Capone Fudge, a leader of the Van Ness Gangster Brims, allied with the Lanes, sought revenge after his car was stolen that day by 5 Deuce Hoover Crips. 17-year-old Percy Brewer, a.k.a. Buddha, a Hoover who was involved in the theft of the Van Ness stolen car. That night, Fudge and his homies brazenly attacked a birthday party in Hoover territory on 54th Street. Fudge then opened fire on a crowd of teens. Phased with a rifle and shotgun, Fudge and his clique killed 5 youths, Target Percy Brewer, and 4 uninvolved partygoers, Philip Westbrooks, Diane Raspberry, Shannon Cannon, and Daryl Coleman, all teenagers. 5 others were wounded in the spray of 15-20 rounds. Police soon tied the shooting to the ongoing Hoover blood feud. Prosecutors allege Fudge led the hit to retaliate against Brewer for stealing his car. Fudge, then 21, was convicted of all 5 murders and ultimately sentenced to death. His cohort Fred, Fat Fred Knight, accused of firing the shotgun, was acquitted in a separate trial. In 1987, 7-4 Hoover members along with Kitchen Crips will go on a killing spree. After Otis Jones, a member of the 7-4 Hoover Crips, was killed by a member of East Coast, Hoovers were looking for some get back. 7-4 Hoover member Andre Moore, along with Ty Lavera and Tracy Carter, their first victims would be a couple at a mobile station at the corner of Broadway and Slauson. David and Namora Thompson had just left the church service and pulled over to use a payphone. When they were approached at gunpoint by the suspects, they were robbed of their possessions. But after taking everything they had, Mr. Thompson began to pray, and he was then shot in the head. A few hours later, around 1 a.m., Rochelle Stewart was leaving Tom's liquor store on Hoover Street. 2 men, Manuel Figueroa and Leopoldo Salgado, who sat in a nearby car, began flirting with her. After turning down their advances, Rochelle was approached by Andre Moore, Lavera, and Carter. Rochelle knew Lavera, who asked her why was she talking to the guys in the car. Moments later, the 3 suspects approached the car. Andre Moore demanded Figueroa to hand over his money, but when he rolled up the window, he opened fire. Eventually, Salgado would die from his wounds, and Figueroa would die after giving his statement to the police. Detectives would eventually arrest all 3 men on murder charges after evidence and multiple witnesses. They would all be found guilty. On Halloween night in 1988, a drive-by shooting left 1 gang member dead and 4 others wounded. Larry Alonzo Winters, identified as a member of the 52 Hoover Crips, was the chief suspect in the Halloween drive-by murder of a rival gang member. Before police could arrest him, Winters, who had escaped from a California youth facility, fled Los Angeles. He resurfaced in Shreveport, Louisiana, where the first set of Hoovers would be established outside of Los Angeles. In 1989, a 5 Deuce Hoover member, Charles C.C. Tyson, was killed in the drive-by on 42nd Place. Tyson was with several men who apparently were painting over another gang's graffiti on an apartment house wall in the 800 block of West 42nd Place, according to police. About 9:30 p.m., several people drove by in a red car shouting out they set and began shooting at the men in front of the wall. Tyson, wounded in the head, died instantly. Detectives believed the shooters were from the Raymond Avenue Crips. Only 4 hours later, the Hoovers were hit back. 31-year-old Shaperio Tyrone McMillan was shot to death in front of a liquor store at Vermont Avenue and West 43rd Place, 2 blocks from where Tyson was killed. McMillan was not a gang member, but police suspect that McMillan was killed in retaliation for the Tyson shooting. The gunman fled in a waiting red and white compact car. Around this time back in Louisiana, Winters would go by Dante Ford to avoid the laws. Winters would be wanted for questioning in connection with a murder in Louisiana also. In December, a 19-year-old man became the first fatality shot down while leaving the local hangout of the Rolling 60s faction of the Crips. Police said the Hoover Crips, of which Winters was a leader, were responsible. But in 1990, Shreveport police said a man identified as Ford was shot through the heart by a 9mm round fired from a passing Cadillac. A 15-year-old boy standing nearby in front of a gang hangout was wounded in the foot. After running the fingerprints through the Los Angeles police gang computer, determined that the dead man was Winters. Back in Los Angeles, the Hoover Wars carried on into the 90s. In 1993, A group of Denver Lane Bloods were hanging out near an apartment on 111 Place in Figueroa when a car cruised by. The driver allegedly flashed a Hoover Crip hand sign to antagonize
This
them.
is Antonio Chavez Moses. He's 19 years old, a known gang member with a long history of arrests. Today, Moses is on the run, one of the key figures in a senseless crime that has outraged people throughout the country, the shooting of a popular fifth-grade teacher in Los Angeles. On February 22, 1996, Moses and another reputed gang member, 18-year-old Frazier Francis, were walking in the area of Figueroa Elementary School in South Central LA. Just after 9 a.m., Francis reportedly opened fire on a rival gang member who was driving by the school. At that very moment, 30-year-old Alfredo Perez was teaching a class in the school library. A stray bullet pierced a window and struck him in the forehead. Though such an injury is often fatal, Perez is currently in a rehabilitation hospital, having made what his doctors call a miraculous recovery. Frazier Francis, the alleged gunman, surrendered to police the day after the shooting. Antonio Moses, however, has disappeared, and authorities believe he may have fled the city. Antonio Moses is 6'2" tall and weighs 180 pounds. He goes by the gang names Mont Deuce and Lil Mont. Both Moses and Frazier Francis have been charged with attempted murder and assault.
By 1997, the case would be dropped. After witnesses recanting their statements due to possible gang intimidation, Francis would be freed days later and Moses would be back in prison after violating his probation. The 90s would be the year that we would see every Hoover set, with the exception of 5 Deuce, drop the Crip. From now on, they would be called Hoover Criminals. They would also take on the moniker EBK, or Everybody Killer. The heat was still on with anybody who wanted smoke with the Hoovers. The 2000s would be no different than any other decade. The Hoovers stayed active. On June 6, 2008, a Hoover gang member named Cleveland Mouton of the 5 Deuce Hoovers was shot to death, allegedly by Denver Lane Bloods. The very next day, June 7th, an affiliate from A-Tray Gangsta Crips, allied with Hoovers, was also killed. These back-to-back murders infuriated the Hoovers. Wiretap evidence later revealed that Kevin Big K Maddox, a veteran 7'4" Hoover, immediately plotted an aggressive get-back for the murders. He directed his soldiers to hunt down Denver Lane Bloods at a known hangout, a music studio on 110th Street, and even provided a vehicle and guns. Over the next 48 hours, Hoover gang members armed with rifles stalked the area. Unbeknownst to them, LAPD had a task force watching. Under Operation Hoover Hunt, officers had placed covert trackers and were telling the Hoover hit squad in unmarked cars and even helicopters. On June 8, 2008, as Maddox and Smith prepared to launch their attack, police moved in. In the chaos, the Hoovers opened fire on a pursuing LAPD officer. Ultimately, Kevin Maddox and Morgan Smith were arrested before they could kill their intended Denver Lane targets. On August 16, 2009, a 13-year-old boy became one of the youngest victims of Hoover Crips violence. Daquan Four-Star Allen, a 13-year-old member of the 94 Hoover Criminals, was walking home from the Broadway swap meet. He was wearing the Hoover signature orange bandana when he was confronted by a member of the Main Street Mafia Crips. Christopher Thomas of the Main Street Crips demanded to know Allen's gang affiliation. When Allen declared 9 for Hoover, Thomas shot him at close range. Allen collapsed and later died from the gunshot wound. Police arrested Christopher Thomas, and in a subsequent trial, he was found guilty of murder. The judge sentenced Thomas to 50 years to life. On August 25, 2009, in an apparent retaliation, a shooter walked into Main Street Crips hood near Main Street and 105th and opened fire, killing Drayvon James, 29, and Robert Nelson, 16, who were associated with the Main Street Crips. Both victims died of multiple gunshot wounds. Investigators noted graffiti and other evidence suggesting the Hoover criminals were responsible for these twin murders. In late 2010, the Hoovers war with the Lanes will heat up when 2 Denver Lane Bloods in 2016, known as Cedric Parker and DeAndre Baby Brazy Bonner, would target the Hoovers. There would be a string of shootings over from January 2016 to March 2016. 3 people would die as a result of this war, including a member of the Hoovers, Stephen Johnson. Both Brazy and Parker would be arrested and would be sentenced to life in prison. In November of 2021, well-known 107 Hoover member. In November of 2021, well-known 107.
I get toe up under city lights. 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 I get toe up.
None can truly grasp the heart of Shreveport until they've walked its streets. The Shreveport. All Hoods documentary of Jesse Ball JB, a They Fear Truth TV and Paramount Pictures production. The unsolved murder that ties into a California massacre that somehow led to the murder of Jesse Ball, or was it a plot from within? This isn't just a documentary, it's an unfiltered look at the life of Jesse Ball, a prominent figure of the 5 Deuce Hoovers of Shreveport, Louisiana gang that many loved, that left many to wonder what really happened. Don't miss Unveiling Shreveport's Hoods, a journey where every alley tells a story. Coming soon to They Fear Truth TV partnership with Paramount Pictures. The life of JB, Jesse Ball. Untold story.
This is Rico Dukes, man, with They Fear Truth TV and They Fear Truth News, the founder of They Fear Truth Federal Government of America. Man, we got a special guest that we're going to be doing an interview with, and all the 5 Deuce Hoover Crips know him. His name is Mr. Marcus Samuel Diggs, better known as Boo Capone, through the streets of Los Angeles, California. Mr. Boo Capone, tell the people a little bit about yourself, man.
Man, it's a beautiful day, man. You know, God is good. And, you know, I'm going to reach out and try to send a message to everybody, a positive message. And, you know, look for support. Support somebody. If your brother next to you or your brother away from you. You know, be supportive. Be supportive, support come to you. That's how it always been. We stand stronger together than apart. So, hey, man, come together. Do something right. I'll be there, man. Can't wait to wake. I can't wait. Got a lot of things we want to talk about.
Anyway, tune in, y'all.
Y'all already know it, man. Tune in, man. Y'all already know it, especially for my Hoover Banks Crips, bro. Y'all tune in, man. It's coming live, straight in effect, bro. You know what I'm saying? 5 Deuce Hoovers. Now you're named with They Fear Truth Federal Government of America, the military of They Fear Truth. Y'all stay tuned for the interview, man. Peace out. See ya.
But I'm the son of Dr. Huey P. Newton. I'm a former Hoover general from Shreveport, Louisiana. Many Hoovers can validate this, my city can validate this, but the primary reason why I wanted to speak with you was now I'm into revolution, and we have our own independent sovereign government that's been recognized in the United States Senate, Congress, Clerk of Office, and I want to try to get unity with the gangsters, you know, to restructure them. And I know you the founder of the Hoovers, and your mom was Panther and my daddy was Panther. I think that would be a great thing, and I just need your approval, and you're okay.
Oh, yes, we can put something together, man. We can come together on something, you know.
Anything?
We can come together on something. If there's something that's going to help somebody, you know.
Yeah, and
as long as it's